right? Okay. Good evening, guys. Guyanese Critic is coming to you from the Deep South Rupunnuni, a place called Ashalton. Um, Actually, I came from this very location to you guys once, sitting, and I had an interview with one of the oldest residents in this community. Um, Today I'm here for a different reason. Recently, uh, Deputy Speaker of the Parliament, Lennox Schumann, made claims of dissatisfaction of our Amerindian brothers and sisters in the Rupunnuni South, suggesting that enough consultations might not have been done as it relates to Marudi mining. So let me give you a little background of what's going on here. Marudi is a mountainous area that has gold deposits, and the surrounding areas that have been mined for a number of years. Under the previous administration, or a few years ago, it was stopped and then restarted and then stopped once again, and now there has been an organized committee looking at restarting the mining. Some consultations were done, or you could say consultations were done over the process of 1 year. Preparations are being made to restart mining that would benefit these communities. I've done many interviews in the South Rupunnuni at a number of different villages with a number of different residents. A lot of those are recorded because not everywhere we got signal. But you know, my thing is always live, because I want a transparency. I want to hear what the person is going to say, and I tell them also, you could say whatever you want to say. The Deputy Speaker gave the impression that the rights of the Amerindians are being trampled upon, and like, you know, I rode in here with a motorcycle. It was no easy journey to come here, and I'm tired if you notice my voice all gone and so on. And it's tough terrain, it's a tough area. The people from these communities have been having a hard time due to the pandemic and limited economic stability, economic drive in their community, business, wherever. Mining over the years has played a role in a number of people developing themselves, and Amerindian people in general living the life or the status, rising to a status like tongue people, nice vehicle and all them things. You understand? Because even a farmer in number 2 canal and farmer in Blackbush, not all these people wealthy. But because of gold and things, people have been able to develop themselves. So that is a little background as to what Marudi is about. It's a mining area in Region 9. Consultations were done over the process of a year. It seems that some persons are not satisfied, and what I chose to do is come to Ashalton, go to Lethem, go across Region 9, and mostly South Rupunnuni, and find out from residents how are they going to be affected positively, negatively. Nonetheless, the mining that we're talking about happens all across Guyana. Madhya, all across Guyana, this mining happens. It so happens in Region 9, the communities surrounding this area that is being mined is mostly indigenous communities, right? So how you mine and how you know, your waste is gotten rid of and all those things, the Amerindian community and the Amerindian people want to know how this is going to be done, and the consultations would have helped that. what I've chosen to do is come, instead of listening to what people say, is come to residents in the community. When I was at Latem, because I noticed people making comments who to speak to. My number is 622-7740. You could get me on WhatsApp at that number. And when I was in Latem, I told everybody I was coming to South Rupunnuni. And people can't say, oh, you're no critic. Everywhere you drive, you say, critic. 4 and 5 persons know who the Guyanese critic is. So you can't say, I ride the motorcycle, everybody see a person. And this morning I said I had enough going with the motorcycle. I ride the motorcycle because of the fact that if there was any place that hard to get us so the vehicles can go, I'm going to make sure I go there and meet these people. Today we're going to sit and talk to a few residents. And again, a few years ago, maybe a year or two ago, I sat right in this compound here and I had interviewed one of the oldest residents in this community. But today I'm going to be speaking to this gentleman and a few other persons as it relates to mining, or the mining restarting at Marudi, and how will they be affected negatively or positively. We're just asking people to be straight with us, give us their opinion, and bring some clarity, because I honestly, the reason I'm here, I've made this journey, is because the deputy speaker gave me the impression with his utterances that the people of these communities were like literally being raped. And you know how we feel about we Amerindian brothers and sisters. Where we hear things about them, he's getting, etchy. And Amerindians being the first people, we try to deal with them in a certain manner, very delicate about how we deal with Amerindian people, right? So I come and I say here, let me come and hear myself. Let me come and see myself. And again, if anybody wants, anybody, because I've met people yesterday, I met the Tushaw for Katuna Rib, and I've met a farmer Tushaw, I've met a lot of people, and everybody has different views. What they're saying is nobody has said that no, we want to mine it. So you got certain factions are worried about the environment and how mining will be done in a manner that's going to preserve the environment. Then you got other factions seem to be politically motivated, since the last time the natural resource minister had opened mining, it was Raphael Trotman, and there were no consultations, there were no discussions. They just open mining and said people come and they do the thing and money make. I want to know, in the event that mining starts back in the Marudi Mountains, how it's going to be done, and how will it impact negatively or positively? And we can't know till it's done. So the discussion gotta be, how do you feel it will impact you, right? That's what the discussion needs to be. How do you feel you will be impacted? And now I was told there's a contract with because there's a co-op, by the way. A co-op was formed, and only persons from Region 9 could come and access this area for mining. A lot of people are of the opinion that this will bring great development to this area. So I'm going to talk to this gentleman now and have an idea of how he thinks he'll be affected negatively or positive. Hi, good afternoon, Chief.
Yes, good
I think
afternoon.
you'd have heard me in simple terms lay it out what the fiasco is about. Simple terms, not very complicated. If I would have said anything that is not correct, please correct me. Being a resident of Ashalton, please correct me. And what we're looking for, as everybody knows what he's doing, is about getting the information out there. What Guyanese want to know is the truth of the story. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Parliament, Leonard Schumann, said, and being seen as a representative of Amerindian people, he said, watch, there's the problem, enough consultations and being done and this and that. It's caused a bit of an uproar in Georgetown. I've decided to sidestep him and come straight to the people because I know the people, I've been here before. Tell me just your name and how long you've been here and how you think, what's your take on mining at Marudi?
Okay, good afternoon again. My name is Ray Atkinson, a resident of Ashalton. I'm a miner. I left here for some time. I went down to, what we would say, into the big bush like Mazruni, Madhya, and such places. My mother, who is from Ashalton, she spent time with us. We were down that way, and we came back here in 2018. She wanted to come home. So, as a miner, and Marudi was always there. I born and reached Marudi work, and even she said, as a little girl growing up, they had some camp there at Bushmouth, where she and her parents would take provisions to sell there to miners. So Marudi has been operating for years. We came and reached it, and I am back. But because of the confusion in Marudi, there was no mining, it closed, so I switched to farming. Nevertheless, as a farmer, where am I going to sell my produce? In 2018, it was a kind of functioning, and then it closed, so it made things really difficult for us here. Not only myself, but there are a lot of people who live in this community that depends on Marudi. They are also miners, not teachers, nurses, doctors, you know. So, you know, we are happy to hear that Marudi would open. And one of the greatest things that I heard from the minister himself, that it would be regularized, which is very good. Because when it has been regularized, it means that you know, people wouldn't go in there and do their own thing, like what normally happens in back dams. Because back dams without regularization, it is a lot of chaos, because people do what they want. And we are so thankful that for, you know, Marudi being regularized, it is going to benefit our people here, because even, you know, direct and indirect, farmers especially.
Some sections of society have suggested that enough consultations were not done. I don't know. I spoke to two persons yesterday, and they were consultations were done with them. They might not have been satisfied how it went off. Have you met and spoken to anybody? Has anybody met and spoken to you about mining, and how you know about the regularization of mining and the opening back of Marudi?
Oh well, I went to the meeting.
Oh, they had a meeting?
Yes, I went to the meeting, and then we heard about this. It is going to open, and it is going to take some time, and then maybe during this time was the consultation.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you satisfied? I don't know if you run through what the regularization is and what the regularization means, but are you satisfied with what they'll be doing and putting in place? Did you get an opportunity to hear what they mean by regularization and those kind of things? Are you satisfied with what they're putting in place?
Oh well, basically from the regularization, I think there is a document, the agreement, no? That's supposed to be in there, and once we, you know, once we get to see that, because basically we the people from here would like to know how we are going to benefit from this, and I think everything should be there.
As a miner, you're saying we the people, but as a miner, you are going to be partaking in this. You're going to be going back into Marudi.
Yes, because I'm a miner.
Okay. Do you see a trickle-down effect? Do you think other people are going to benefit from this?
Of course. Of course.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your input. I just want to go through with everybody else, so get everybody's side if anybody else has a difference of opinion. Who's next? Good night, ma'am.
Hello, good evening.
I think you would have been overhearing what we're discussing. It's about Marudi. If I might, you just tell me your name and what you do, and then I'm going to ask you a few questions and give you the opportunity to, you know, let the world know what's going on here.
Okay. My name is Marudi.
Okay.
I am a resident of Ashalton. Well, at present, I own a shop, but
Okay. You're a business person.
I'm a business person.
Okay.
Prior to that, I spent many years in the mines, many years.
Okay. Has the closure of, when you say many years in the mines, will you be specifically referring to Marudi? The Marudi area, these mining areas? mainly. How has the closure of Marudi affected you?
A lot. It was affected my family significantly because that's what we depend on for our livelihood. So I would say because we don't work for a salary, that's where we get our finance from, our money from. Already.
Do you share this year's sentiments? Let me simplify it. The Deputy Speaker of the House, Lennox Schumann, recently said that enough consultations were not done. Would you say that is true? Consultations meaning coming to the people, explaining to them what it means, it's going to open back, how they're going to do it, how they're going to do the work. And then do you think enough has been done in that area?
What I think is that when those consultations were carried out, we were just able to meet one set of people all the time. So there are others who you rarely see, and a lot of them who really depend on the man. I don't see them at the meeting. So if going back to your question, if maybe consultations with those, especially those who depend on Marudi, you don't see them at the meetings. I look for them, I don't see them because I work along with a lot of them in the mines, and I don't see them at the meetings.
Do you know if message would have been passed on for people to come and attend these meetings? Do you think enough was done in highlighting it and saying, well, yeah, I'll come out and hear what the guys saying? Do you think enough was done in the area?
I don't think so because, for example, this last time when we had the meeting, not many people were aware. There were not many villagers persons from this village at that meeting. So I think.
Do you think it's deliberate, or?
No, I don't think it's deliberate. We didn't know of the meeting.
Beautiful. So that's something we gotta look at in the short term. Are you satisfied with your understanding of the reopening of Marudi?
Personally, I am.
Okay.
I am satisfied because, like I said earlier, because of our economic situation presently in the village, I would be happy not only for myself, for others, but like I say, you hear a lot. There's some other concerns, but I feel that the government is capable of putting things in place to see that those things are taken care of. I talk about social issues and environmental issues and so forth.
Okay. All right. I want to thank you for being open and candid and giving your take, and I'm hoping this will bring some clarity to the general public out there, and I'm hoping that you could see economic prosperity personally and for your community after the reopening of Marudi. Right, so thanks once again. We got somebody else to cover? We got anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's gonna be impacted by it. Oh, all right. Let me talk to the gentleman. Sit down. Thanks. Yeah.
Good evening.
Hi. Good evening, sir. Everything all right? Cool. I don't know if you were overhearing our discussion.
No.
But it's mainly about Marudi, the reopening of mining in Marudi, and how people are going to be affected, whether negatively, positively, if they're satisfied with how the process went. I've been having many interviews with people, and a lot are recorded because of the fact of the inability to have signal everywhere. But this here is live, so we editing. I in general don't edit anything because the objective is to get the true sense of how people are affected and how we can work together to develop this country. Firstly, if you could just tell me your name, what's your background in Ashalton you're a resident of Ashalton?
Yeah, my name is David Nigafuk, and I residing in Ashalton for approximately 5 years.
Okay.
I am a miner, small miner, and a chainsaw operator.
Okay.
I was here and in the village. I couldn't get any job in the village because of no employment in the community as such. So I decided to approach the Romanex company, that's the exploration company, to get a job. And they keep promising me. They give me a little time in and time out, temporary, and promising me to give me a permanent job in the future, but never did get through. So when I work for Mountain, and the rest of the time out. When they're taking workers for Mountain, and the rest of the time you out.
Do you have a family here?
Yes, I do have.
Wife and how many kids?
I have, with my wife, I have 5 children.
Okay.
I also rent a place in Lecton. So that's why I had to get money to pay rent and maintain the home and such.
Okay. Have you played any part? Were you any part of the consultations that were kept, meetings when they come and talk about mining and how back how it's going to be done and so on?
Yeah.
You were at the meetings?
Some of those meetings.
Okay. When you say some, there were meetings that were kept that you didn't go to?
No. Because of poor consultation, poor communication then.
Okay.
With the people.
So you missed some of them?
Yeah. Probably I was in the mines then, when I didn't get to hear like when a meeting was kept.
When they come in, okay.
There was a way of some like this last one that they had in here when the minister was here. I was here present and I heard everything clearly.
Are you satisfied? When the minister was here, were the residents asking questions as to how they're going to be affected? And did you ask any questions?
No, I didn't. But a lot of individuals asked questions at the meeting, and some was positive and some was a kind of negative towards the mine.
Towards the minister?
Towards the mine.
Oh, the mines. Okay. Are you satisfied with the response that the minister gave based on the questions and issues raised?
Yeah, I was satisfied because I see that it would have benefited me, myself, and also the people in the Deep South, also the miners too. They would have benefited if we would have continued mining, because I would have seen a better way of life and a steady income. Because at this time here, since we stopped mining, it makes it difficult for us to maintain our home and maintain this responsibility that I have to.
Do you know Lennox Schumann? Have you ever met Lennox Schumann?
No.
Never met him?
No.
So in all of this process, you've never come across Lennox Schumann? You never asked you no question, nothing, but you meet the Minister of Natural Resource.
I never see him.
You heard about him, you know of him.
I saw the Minister of Natural Resource, I met him already, and
Okay.
I asked him a question, because there was a point that he made that if anybody can find anything else to do other than mining. So after the meeting, I reached him personally.
The minister asks the residents if they
Yes.
can't find anything else to do
Yeah.
other than mining. Okay.
But I, as a person of a chainsaw operator, I said, man, I'm going to ask this man if I can apply for logging in the area instead
Okay.
of mining. Because they have trees, they have the forest that we could utilize.
Okay.
And they have a system there that the GGMC maintained as a sustainable logging that we can do in the forest. Sustainable logging, it means that you're going to destroy the forest. You're going to select your timber and log. So that's what I see.
And you told the minister about it?
Yes, he said apply immediately.
Okay, okay. Because I'm trying to get an understanding where the deputy speaker got his information from. I know him personally, right? I actually campaigned for Lennox Schumann and the Liberty and Justice Party. Justice and Liberty, yeah, Justice and Liberty. LJP, yeah, LJP. So I'm all in support of him. What I get a sense that he might have been misinformed. I'm trying to get an understanding where he got his information from. Because one of the things I did not know, and why I came with haste to the Deep South Rupunnuni, is because I was of the opinion that Marudi and lands thereabout and the mining area was Amerindian lands. And these consultations were being done with Amerindians to use their lands. But I did not know they were not Amerindian lands. They are government lands that Amerindians have access to. Government has given them access, and government has chose to do consultations based on the fact that what happens in your backyard most likely is going to affect you, right? But outside of all of that, do you see yourself becoming prosperous as a result of mining starting up back at Marudi?
Yeah. Yeah, because I have a registered dredge, which is a 4-inch land dredge, which is
You ready right now?
registered under the GGMC SD 20207. That's the number.
And you're working right
And
now?
1 year now, this thing, approximately 1 year, this thing is parked, and I ain't see no sort of income. It pressure me more in this thing.
All right, thanks. And I'm hoping when the mining recommences, it's done in a fashion that doesn't affect you negatively, the environment I'm meaning, and it brings much prosperity to you financially and be able to develop you and your family, right?
Yeah,
So thanks, Chief.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So guys, now this gives you, we've spoken to 3 persons, but I have a number of interviews and I'm trying to get to the bottom. We gotta be serious with these things. If you, now from Letem to Ashalton, I was riding a motorcycle at about 90 kilometers, 90, 100, and it took me 2 hours to get here. You could imagine, you don't want to see the hardships, you don't want to see what the trail is like. Living in these areas is no joke. The people in these areas face real hardships, and they are genuine concerns. But when politicians choose to blow it out of proportion, now, what the Deputy Speaker of the House did not tell people is that Marudi mining has been going on. I thought people said they're 40, they grow up and see mining at Marudi. This is something that's been going on. By the way, I have videos I'll show you when I get a chance to upload. I've recorded mining going on right now. Illegal mining, by the way. It's not that mining ain't going on, you know. The waters that people talking about that, well, here we need this water clean, we need to protect ourselves from mercury. There's mining going on right now at Marudi, illegal mining, Brazilians mining. The water is murky right now, but some people, some miners would have a problem because when it is regularized, they can't use mercury anymore. They got to do it in a certain fashion. So people are being affected differently. Some persons, there's a lack of them understanding how they be affected. Some persons got a special interest in seeing it not regularized. These are important things that we have to look at. And I've done a number of interviews with people, and they're varying views. Everybody wants mining. How they want it done is a different issue. How they want to see the environment protected, all of this, these are concerns. What my concern is the Deputy Speaker of the House playing politics with the indigenous people who are in dire need of relief. You have to come to these communities and see what people are going through. It is very hard for our Amerindian brothers and sisters. And I'm doing interviews across South Rupunnuni again. You can WhatsApp me on 622-7740 if you have an opinion. I'll give you the opportunity to say it like you want to say it. I just want to reserve the right to ask straight questions. Because some people are obviously politically motivated. Some people want to continue doing things in an ad hoc, illegal manner. So they're different people. But again, Guyanese, we have to look at it this way. When you vote, is only the government of the day is only supported by a little more than half of the population. But that doesn't mean every time the whole other half cry is something we can bow down. The world has to stop for them. We're living in a democracy. And if consultations mean 100% got to agree, mining will never start back at Marudi. 100% of us don't have to agree. People will always have issues. I met a Mal yesterday. I met a Negro brother yesterday. And the banner tell me straight up, he got a whole different perspective. When I play the video, you can make your skin crawl. He tell me sure the land is his father is a Rastaman. He got a whole different perspective. Everybody will have a different perspective. How do we move forward? And do you know the urgency and what is needed? Have you ever been to one of these communities? Do you know what our Amerindian brothers and sisters are going through? There are some people, and I would like to, I've got to reach out to them. There's the SRDC, there's South Rupunnuni District Council or something like that. And they have an interest. They have, are for the most part, representatives of the indigenous brothers in this area. But nonetheless, these are people who are comfortable, well paid and satisfied with what they have. What happens to the regular brother who doesn't have an education but has a very good understanding that he could go in the mines and make a little money? What happens to that mother with her children who she ain't got a job, but the male could go, her husband is going to go out and bring money from the mines for them? Bear in mind, we're talking about something that happens across this country. Mining, massive mining, goes on across this country, a number of other regions. So let's look at that. And consultations must be had, that's no questions. It's been being had for 1 year now. Whether it is enough or not, I can't be able to say. But are we going to talk about this? How much consultations are we going to keep? Are those consultations taken into consideration? How people are suffering in these communities. So guys, I want to thank you for tuning in, and I'm going to be bringing more lives for you as the opportunity affords. And I have the videos that I'll be uploading with the interviews that I did in areas. Imagine these areas I had to do the interview because there's no signal in these areas. People's got to go 2 hours away to get a cell phone signal. Do you believe that? This is the genuine situation in these communities. So like only we for the coastland know for make money and get money and live nice. And funny enough, if you go to the people who don't have anything, they're saying, tell me one man, we are going to protect the thing. I know why y'all use mercury. They got little questions, but they want mine and they want to get something. And you go to, you meet a man who drive in. Not for them driving and they driving, they got issue, no they want this. Because they butter, they bread well butter. They done got. And we have to look at all of that. So if the members of the SRDC are looking at this, please let's sit down, have a discussion, and give the people your take. Let the consultations be public. Let it be out there. Don't get more transparent than this. The Guyanese Critic coming to you from Ashalton.